Today I want to talk about one of the many strengths of Guild Wars 2. Specifically, I want to explore how Guild Wars 2 does storytelling. Just to be clear, I'm not implying that Guild Wars 2 is the only MMO that has a good strong story. Far from it. What I want to do in this video is show the many layers of story Guild Wars 2 has, and how Guild Wars 2 method of delivering the story is indeed very effective and immersive. The very first thing you do in Guild Wars 2 is create a character. During the character creation process, the game will ask you questions that define who your character is and where they come from. Based on the provided information, the game will subsequently generate an artistic cinematic. This cinematic will contain an explanation about both your race and the faction based on the information provided previously. This can be especially useful to new players who might not have a lot of information about the lore. It is also important as it is the starting point of the story that you as a player will experience.
We reclaimed our homeland of Ascalon, and we planted victory banners on the graves of our enemies.
And this brings us to one of the strengths that Guild Wars 2 has over other MMOs. Most MMOs have just one single main storyline. A few MMOs have multiple main storylines, generally based around the race or the class. In Guild Wars 2, not only we get a unique storyline per race, but every race has 3 possible distinct storylines, and the one you start with is dependent on one specific question you're asked during character creation. But let me show you what I mean. The following is the first part of the 3 missions you can start with if you create an Asura.
Not a moment too soon. Put your best prize-winning game face on. We're up next.
So far, it's all power couplings and energy matrices. Boring! Our device is clearly the best.
Grab the device and get ready. Kozak will back you up and assist during the demonstration.
Finally, you're here. We had to give up our space in the queue. Now the College of Synergetics is behind Dynamics, Statics, and Inquest.
Panic time! Our massively impressive golem isn't working. The judges are waiting. It functioned perfectly back in the lab. I'm at a loss.
As you play your personal story, the game will automatically record your progress. In your hero page, you get a sort of diary which automatically fills in as you progress in your personal story and finish stage after stage. This is really useful because if for any reason you need to stop playing the game for a while, when you come back you have a reference that you can go to and remember where exactly you got in your story. This is a feature which I would love if more MMOs were to adopt. The next story delivery mechanism I want to talk about are the scouts. The scouts are a great tool that provide information and lore about them and the general area.
The Sapalo Browns Hylic have long battled for survival against the ruthless Crate. But now we've become prisoners in our own homes. We hide in fear of being dragged away to the torments and storm-wrecked deeps. Please, help us.
Among the Sylvari, there are those who have abandoned the teachings of Ventari and embraced the lure of their dark emotions. This is the foundation of the Nightmare Court. They attack our holdings and take our people to turn to their ideals. We must disrupt Briarthorn Den and maintain our holdings Ikara Storia against the Nightmare.
However, not all content and story are available in plain sight. Like Guild Wars before it, Guild Wars 2 provides information and story even by simply talking to NPC characters. This might be a bit hard for people coming in from other MMOs to get used to it. This is because generally in other MMOs, unless an NPC is clearly marked, they don't provide anything in terms of story or content. And not only that, in Guild Wars 2 sometimes they also provide mini-missions such as the case with the Scholar. Similar to this, as you walk around, sometimes you might across NPC characters who talk to each other. Their dialogue might be humorous at times, but if you listen carefully, they will teach you about the race and its culture.
When our new Death 1250 is complete, it will be absolutely unstoppable.
But then, what if we need to stop it?
Oh, there will be a switching back.
Brute movements in the Mist War follow a predictable pattern, except when radial field theory implies otherwise.
All I know is that this soldier is heading back through the portal tomorrow, and my movements will be completely badass.
And this brings us to the final and most powerful story delivery mechanism that Guild Wars 2 has to offer. I am obviously referring to the dynamic events.
Thank you for coming along. It'll be good to have company. I hope you don't mind if we run. The less time spent on this road, the better. The lieutenant told me that until the haven is completed, there are no soldiers to spare for the road. Stay sharp. We're close to the ruins of Gnaw's Head Refuge. That used to be our home until the Nightmare Court showed up. Now we've moved to the Weeping Isle.
As we can plainly see, a dynamic event is composed of multiple layers of story. There is the obvious layer that is the story of us escorting the Sylvari to her village. There's also the lore that she is giving to us about the area we're going through, and she is also explaining to us the situation of the area by telling us that no soldiers will be available until heaven is completed. However, multiple layers of story aren't the reason why I think that dynamic events are the strongest story delivery method that Guild Wars 2 has to offer. Every medium has its own way of delivering the story. Books provide a fixed storyline through written words. Movies provide a fixed storyline through moving pictures. Games, on the other hand, should be all about interactivity. This, however, is generally not the case with most MMOs, which all provide a fixed storyline, with the only variable being when you're gonna get to the various milestones. Guild Wars 2, however, through the use of dynamic events, provides a really interactive experience. If a village is under attack and you're protecting it, there's no guarantee that you're gonna save it. Unless you actually manage to push back the invasion, the story will reflect that the village was actually conquered. If on the other hand you manage to succeed, the village will be saved. This is why I think Guild Wars 2 is the first MMO that through its use of dynamic events allows the players to actually shape the story as they play along. ArenaNet did not lie with their motto "This is your story", as through our actions you actually really get a say on how the story develops. Thanks for watching.